So we're so incredibly thrilled to have you here today. The new movie opens on November 22nd. It is thought to be the most anticipated movie of the year and probably the highest grossing film of all time, so you must be really excited to get started on that. What we've done here is we posted a Tumblr and we asked many of your fans to post questions. And so we will take some questions from the audience later today, but to start with, we have questions from Tumblr. So we'll go ahead and, without further ado, get started. The Darjeeling username asked, "Hey Jennifer, are you aware of the fact that you are pretty much the queen of Tumblr? Many blogs here are dedicated to your awesomeness, and so I felt that you needed to know that. Thank you."
Thanks. No, I didn't. I've never gotten on Tumblr and looked myself up, but I will do that later. I'm kidding, I won't. That's not good for me.
And Where Are the Mockingjays asked, "Jen, there are tons of quotes from you, there are all over Tumblr, from people when they first met you, quoting what you said. Do you remember what you said when you first met Frances?"
I apologize for being late, I think, because I just imagined our breakfast being at a completely different restaurant and didn't double check on my schedule. I just drove to a different restaurant.
Yeah, and then you spat egg in my mouth.
And then I spit egg in his mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, typical first meeting.
What's the story behind that?
Nothing, I just was talking with my mouth full and it landed. I watched it fly out. And this is my first time like meeting like my new boss, and I just watched this egg and it was like slow motion. I was like, no! And I saw it land on his lip and he went, "Is it on my mouth?" I was like, "Yes."
Well, I was going to ask if you remember when you met Jennifer, but clearly you do. So, the film was shot on site in Atlanta and Hawaii. Tell us about what it was like. Tell us about the different locations.
Oh, Hawaii is amazing. That is the only problem with filming in Hawaii is you feel like work is impeding on your vacation. Every time I'm at work, I'm just like, this is ridiculous. I need to, but it was, it's the most beautiful place in the world.
Yeah, it was pretty fantastic. I mean, Atlanta was pretty nice too. I mean, the only issue we had there really was that Atlanta is built around the railroads. So pretty much every location we had train tracks, either subways and or trains rushing by all the time, all day long. And so we were constantly having to cut and stop shooting to let trains go by or else all the sound would get messed up. But
yeah, and Frances
really nice
heard
locations.
from me on that.
Yes.
It used to drive me crazy.
And Sherlock Ox asked, "Frances, from the trailers, this film looks absolutely incredible and true to the book. Is there anything that you couldn't put into the film that you wish you could have?"
No, I think we got, we really got a lot in there. I mean, we worked really closely with the author of the books, and I think we have kind of all the tentpole moments from the books and all the, the really memorable scenes and sequences. I'm really pleased with the amount we were able to get into this movie. I think fans are going to be really, really happy about it.
And Jennifer, how about you? Are there any scenes that you wish you could have included, or wish would have been that are in the books?
No, I don't think so. I agree with Frances. And also, what's interesting is there's even added stuff because in the book it's Katniss's first person. She's narrating, so there's a lot of stuff that you hear about, but you don't see it because she's just talking about it in the book. So for our audience, we needed to show them. So there were lots of interesting, really incredible scenes added with Philip Seymour Hoffman and Donald Sutherland. I almost forgot his name for a second because I'm nervous, sorry. Yeah, so that was incredible.
And Tumblr user Because Jennifer asked, "Jennifer, what was your favorite food that you tried in Hawaii?"
I can only think of the foods that I did not want to try and did try in Hawaii. Spam sushi,
yes,
which he liked.
Yes.
I didn't want to try. And then he made me eat a raw fish, like a real fish that was cut open, and I had to eat it, and I was getting scales in my mouth, and it was the most awful experience of my life. But the mojitos at my hotel were great.
So, Frances, do you have the spam sushi was as good as it?
I'd say the spam sushi was, yeah. I enjoyed that stuff.
Yeah, you did. Every time it came out, he was eating it. Oof.
User Hey Don't You Worry asked, for both of you, what was the funniest moment on set?
God.
The funniest moment?
Oh.
I don't know. There was a lot of them. I mean, Jen's falling all the time,
the butt.
so.
Me getting Sam's
Oh,
trident.
yeah,
we were in the middle of doing this scene with the monkeys, so we're all like fighting these imaginary monkeys with this like choreographed not a dance, a fight. and all of a sudden in the middle of the scene, I just went, ah! It was like something just whipped my butt, and everybody was like, nothing happened. Like, it was probably just a Charlie horse. And I was like, I know what something slapped my butt. And so we're like watching playback, we can't find it. I've got a red mark on my butt, and Josh is telling me that it's the ancient spirits, and I'm believing it. And yeah, and then we slowed down and we saw that the end of Sam's trident, when he was spinning it, just like flew off and just whacked me in the butt, going like 100 miles an hour. That was funny.
Yeah, but you thought it was some like prehistoric bug or something that had bitten
Yeah,
you.
well, I was paranoid about, I'm always paranoid. I'm paranoid about bugs, especially in Hawaii. I cried over a spider. Yeah. There's a long story about why I cried, though, and it's not that crazy. You would have cried, too.
And River Snogs asks, Jennifer, did you mime the scene when you ran into the invisible barrier in the Jabberjay scene, or did they actually have something there? So he says, because if it's the former, you're an awesome mime.
Oh, yeah, I mimed that. I'm an awesome mime, that's cool.
So Catching Fire is incredibly visually stunning. Can you tell us a little bit more about building the world for your fans? So they're going to show a little bit of the trailer here, just so we get a sense of the visuals. But I think that when you look at how to create this world that is so visually rich, that so many people had read about all over the world, it must be really daunting. But when you look at stepping into that world for a moment and really making it feel so real, there's all kinds of different elements. One of which is the fashion. We talked a little bit upstairs about the Capital Couture site on Tumblr. And the Fault in Our Mockingjay asks, which dress was worse to walk in, your Oscars dress or Katniss's wedding dress?
I fell in both, so I can't really decide. Yeah, I think my wedding dress was a lot more uncomfortable.
We're showing them both here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was very, and that silver thing, the scratches. If you ever want to get that dress, make sure they don't get that dress. That would be ridiculous.
And one question they wanted to ask is, if you could keep one thing from the Catching Fire set, what would it be?
From the Catching Fire set. Well, I
like Sam's trident. I like Finnick's trident. That was a really cool weapon. I would probably keep Finnick's trident.
Yeah. Well, and the necklace that.
Oh, the locket?
Yeah, the locket's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
And Francis, because Jennifer asks, since this film is so intricate, is there any particular scene that we should look out and try and spot particular details in?
Particular details? Well, I think if you're going to look at details, I mean, one of the fun scenes would be there's a party very early on in the Victory Tour where Katniss and Peeta go to Snow's mansion, and Trish Somerville, our costume designer, just did an amazing job costuming all the partygoers, the Capitol citizens. And so there's just a lot of detail work because just everybody had their own really super individual style, and so there's a lot of detail in the crowds there. So I think that would be a fun scene to take a look out for.
Cool. And well, back on the topic of archery, Random Picks from My3Ds asks, Jennifer, how good exactly are you at using a bow and arrow?
She's really good.
No.
She is. She's really good.
Did you